Like my brain just can't handle a loss to this team.
We're losing to this
late
team
in the season.
I'm out.
Welcome to another episode of Three Cranky Jets Fans. I'm Joe Close Marone, and here with me is Matt Callahan. Trisha is out sick this week. Send prayers. She's
thoughts.
Battling the little C. Thoughts and prayers. Good vibes. Tonight we are recapping the Jets' win over the Dolphins at home. We'll take a look at the playoff picture and maybe do a little prediction of who we think is going to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl. And finally, we will take a look at where the Jets are with their head coach search. And yeah, we'll get into it. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Right.
The Jets season is now over.
Over, shutting down.
Now I can reboot into happy mode.
Happy mode. I understand you had a big family weekend.
We did. It was my dad's 80th birthday, so shout out to my dad, who's 80.
Happy birthday, Mr. Callahan. And cheers to 80 years.
Took me to my first and only Jets game and set me down this dark path.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. I saw a post on Facebook this afternoon. It was like a dad about his son, how like the joy that his son got from the season finale win was, pretty pure joy. It looked like I think he was like a 10-year-old kid, but like he doesn't care about going to the playoffs and this guy's contract and that guy's contract and how much money they're spending on this and that and what the cap is and all the minutia that we get weighed down by as adult fans. And I don't know, I felt like a little pang of something, whether it's
remorse.
guilt for maybe putting any of that on my son. He's 5, so I haven't killed him yet with the nonsense. But also it's like it made me think of like, okay, from my own fan perspective, maybe I need to tone it down a notch and not get like too irked up, and especially in situations like this at the end of the season where they're out of it and we're worrying about draft position and this and that. Like, just enjoy a win, So with that said, I am going to enjoy this win, and let's talk about the game. The Jets finished the season with a win over the Dolphins at home, 32-20. Really, both offenses looked pretty ugly in the first quarter, but the defense for New York actually came to play right off the bat. They were giving up some yards, but they turned the ball over a couple times early. I think they had 4 turnovers total. It might have been more. I think it was 4.
Yeah.
2 fumbles and 2 interceptions.
Which is crazy for them this year.
So it was like, yeah, every time they got into a pickle, it seemed like, okay, we'll just turn the ball over, which was awesome to see. Then in the second quarter, Aaron Rodgers and company turned it on, took the lead with Rodgers' 500th touchdown to none other than Tyler Conklin, as predicted.
I know, like when that play happened, I was like, I think that's Joe's prediction.
Yeah, baby, that's right. The Jets would then just hold on to the lead for the rest of the game and go out on a high note. It was close. It felt like the Jets were in control the whole game. It felt like.
True.
But up until at the last 5 minutes, it was still only a 5-point game. So it felt like it could go either way. It would be total Jets move to lose that game. But
I was like, late in the game, I was like, this game doesn't feel as close as it is. So that's usually when they get me.
Shit the bed.
Yeah. So I had to keep reminding myself that it's not over. and this is the Jets. So don't take anything for granted yet.
Yeah. Were you happy to get a win or rooting for a win?
I didn't care either way. Like, I had accepted that they would probably lose that game, so them playing well, I guess, was just happy to see. Maybe I'm embracing the same Zen approach you just mentioned at the start.
Right.
Just enjoy the little things, like the offense. They spread the ball around, passing wise to everybody.
Cherish the little things.
Yes, it was cherishing the little things.
Your favorite person. Anyway, one thing we didn't really, I didn't know on our last recording that, and I don't think Tua had been ruled out for the game, but Tyler Huntley, the backup, was playing this one.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
And I was really surprised. He was out with a hip injury, considering they were still by a very slim margin in contention for a playoff spot. Like, okay, really, he's not playing.
Yeah.
It must be a serious hip injury. I don't know. He was standing on the sidelines. I'm not really sure what to make of all that with Miami, but it was just interesting. Had I known that, I probably would have predicted the Jets to win against a backup quarterback. Maybe not.
But that's sometimes when they really go to crap.
That's true. That's true. You don't know. You never know with the Jets.
Right.
Really.
All you know is pain.
That's right.
It was exciting. I'll have to say, I was excited to watch that 500th passing touchdown. That is like a big moment.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get many big moments as Jets fans. Right. So it is nice to have that.
It would have been cool if it was to Davante Adams, just because I did see he had like his 100th touchdown pass and his 400th. So to have,
if
he had 3,
been cool.
That would have been neat.
Yeah,
especially after he got absolutely destroyed. Was that in the first quarter with that stupid play they ran? Like the flea flicker, like he threw it to him.
That was.
Threw it back to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers threw it back to Davante Adams just for him to get absolutely trucked.
Yeah. They tried like 3 gadget or gimmick plays in this one, 3 or 4, and every single one of them was an utter failure. But that was the worst. I mean, thankfully, Davante didn't actually catch that ball, and it was just an incomplete, because otherwise it would have been like an 8-yard loss.
Yeah.
But that was just downright silly. It was funny to see like the back and forth with Aaron Rodgers and Davante, like Aaron Rodgers actually catching a pass. There was another one later in the game. It was same type of model, except Alan Lazard was passing the ball, and Rodgers actually went downfield toward the end zone. And Lazard threw a terrible pass. I think he was trying to keep it in bounds, but thankfully it was just out of bounds. And I'm not sure who it was on the Dolphins caught it 2 steps out of bounds. It would have been an interception in the end zone, but it was it was bad. All that stuff did not work out. That was funny. Yeah, we let's see what else. Did you notice we had another kicker?
I did not. It's like the drummer from Spinal Tap. It's just always somebody new, I guess.
Yeah, so that I think it was the first kickoff that landed short of the landing zone.
Oh, yeah, right. I did see that happen, but I didn't realize it was a new kicker.
Well, it caught my eye. I was like, who the fuck is that guy? I thought it was Brandon Aubrey. And I was like, okay, so he's messed up a couple of kickoffs. So Aubrey, or not Aubrey. I keep wanting to say Aubrey. That's a totally different team. I forget what his name is now. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, this kicker's his last name is Joseph. I don't know what his first name is. So I think that's 6 active kickers this year.
That's
for the Jets. Is that right?
I think so.
Now, I thought the Jets had activated Greg Zuerlein, and we're gonna like play him again at some point. But I guess that was just smoke that Ulbrich was blowing, because I really don't know. He was saying, "Oh yeah, he's like kind of figured it out, and he's back from injury. It's all working together now." And then he never kicked a ball, I don't think. So I don't know what was up with that, but yeah, that was a pretty ugly kickoff. But he did make all of his field goals and PATs.
That was the only like missed kick I saw
yeah,
the whole game.
It's like weird to like mess up the kickoff. I don't understand that, and I'm not sure if this guy didn't have like a strong enough leg, but he didn't kick. I don't know that he kicked any of his kickoffs through the end zone or even into the end zone.
No,
I think they were all returned. So that was interesting. I just thought it was funny. 6 kickers. I think that's right. Aaron Rodgers.
How
did you feel about his little performance there?
I thought he looked good. It's like this was what I would have liked to seen all season, spreading it around to all the receivers, not just throwing it to Devontae Adams. Involve.
Yeah, you got everybody involved.
Yeah. It was.
So he had, 4 touchdowns?
I think so.
4
it was
touchdowns.
all
I think it was like
touchdowns, right?
All passing touchdowns, yeah. I know the last one was like a little shuffle pass to, not a shuffle pass, but it was like a check down to Breece Hall.
Right. Yep. There was one to Lazard.
He got
it was
one
Conklin,
to Lazard, one to
Conklin,
and one to Devontae.
Oh, yeah. Devontae did have one.
So, yeah, 4 passing touchdowns, no rushing, and they had the 1 field goal. And they had a 2-point conversion.
They did.
Yeah, it was a great performance by Rodgers against, the starting defense of the Dolphins. One thing I questioned was like going into halftime of the game, the Dolphins had to know at that point they were out of contention.
Yeah.
Denver was destroying the Chiefs. Like, I think it was like 24-0.
It felt like every time because I would like flip to that game was on here as well. And anytime it was a commercial, I'd flip over to that. And it felt like every time I flipped to it, they were scoring a touchdown. Because I perfectly timed it to see that one weird, funny touchdown that like doinked off of 2 Chiefs and into the hands of a different. Like it was for one Chiefs receiver who tapped it and then fell out of bounds. And then 2 different Chiefs defenders tried to like intercept it, but they both tapped it instead, and it stayed in the air, and then a Bronco caught it right as he fell out of bounds. It was like a great touchdown.
That's cool. I didn't catch any of that game, but I was just tracking the score because
they seemed to actually. I think a couple times
I weirdly wanted the Broncos to lose. I don't know why.
So you wanted the Dolphins to keep playing, or
I think I wanted somehow the Bengals to get in.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't even remember how that would have worked out. I think maybe the Dolphins had to lose.
I think if the Dolphins lost and the Broncos lost,
then maybe the Bengals would have gone in.
I know going into that game, it was like the Chiefs were... I saw a lot of jokes about the Chiefs just intentionally losing the game to knock the Bengals out of the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. And they may have done that. I mean, why not?
So I know the announcers during the Jet game a couple times were kind of shocked that it didn't seem like the Dolphins were playing as hard as they could be. Like they're like, I know they've got to know the score of the Broncos game, but it just felt like, or they seemed to think they weren't putting as much of an effort into it, like in the first half.
Offensively, maybe. I didn't feel like the defense was letting up any. So
no,
I was glad to see
the offense they were talking about.
The offense doing well. That kind of leads us into Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Have you heard about this?
I saw his comment. Yeah.
Well, he disappeared after halftime. I don't even know if he was on the field, but I don't think he caught another ball. I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah, I never remember hearing his name mentioned during the game.
He caught a couple balls in the first half, but yeah, like not overly competitive. But after the game, he is talking to reporters and just kind of unprompted. I mean, he was asked a question but he ranted on for like a solid 2 minutes and eventually was like, I'm out of here, bro.
Right, I saw that quote. I'm out of here, bro.
And then I think one of the beat reporters was like, so you're done with the Dolphins? And he was like, yes. And then walked away. And the dude, I mean, he's a different character.
Yeah.
Was it you or our friend Laura who said that he changed his profile pic on Twitter to just a picture of AJ Brown as he was after he had ripped off his shirt and ditched the
I
Bucks?
was watching that game when that happened too, so that's really funny that
that was insane.
Like, that's who you want to reference yourself as?
Yeah, like, what is this guy thinking? I mean, this is somebody who just like clearly doesn't give a shit about his reputation.
Was that game against the Jets too?
I think it might have been.
I think it was.
Jets or Giants.
I was watching that game, and I remember like they showed him taking his jersey off and throwing it into the crowd and leaving.
It was the Jets, wasn't it?
So that's makes it even more funny.
Yeah.
They've basically broken 2 players from up teams who are like, I'm out. I'm done, dog.
I find a strange sense of pride in that.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate, cherish the little things. We're not good at football, but we're also so bad at it. We're destroying that losing to the Jets is enough to break you for your team.
Yeah, like my brain just can't handle a loss to this team.
We're losing to this
late
team
in the season.
I'm out.
This is the thing that drives me insane. Okay, it's all coming together for me now. All right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from this game that you'd want to talk about, or post-game reactions, anything like that? Did you see any of the post-game comments?
No, I didn't.
I did watch the press conferences and media availabilities for the players, and it's tough, man, because like Aaron Rodgers was up there, and he was up there, and I can't remember exactly what the question was, but talking about kind of like reflecting on this season a little bit and like what the plans were, what the thoughts were going into his stint with the Jets and his feelings on the last 2 years. And he was just like, I poured my heart into this and I just really wanted this. And it didn't work out. And it was like just kind of a moment you don't typically get from him, where he didn't crack or like show, like it wasn't necessarily on the brink of like breaking in emotionally, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you could feel it in his voice and just his expression on his face. Like, he didn't come here to fuck around.
No, I never.
Right?
I never would question his player's ethic in the game. I never thought he was going to be a good fit for the Jets, but it's not because I don't think he never was going to try or anything.
Yeah. And I feel kind of bad in some ways of like the reputation he gets. I've never been somebody that's like, oh, I love Aaron Rodgers or anything like that.
Right.
But I feel like he gets a bad rap.
I'm glad he went out with a good game.
I'm glad he went out with a good game. It was nice to hear some of his teammates say the things about him that they did. If you haven't listened to him, I would just go back and listen to some of the commentaries, especially from like Devontae. Jermaine Johnson did an interview with Eric Allen of the Jets this week. That was really nice. Yeah, go listen to it.
Do you think, before you move on, do you think that was his last game in football? No.
I don't think so. I felt, and he mentioned, not that he wants to still play, but he said I have to take time away from the game. He said, no matter what, like, I feel great right now coming off of a win. This is paraphrasing, but he doesn't make choices emotionally.
Right.
He separates from the situation, takes time, and thinks about it logically, and actually takes time to introspect
Right.
and find out how he really feels
Got to go into
about
the darkness
a given situation. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll do whatever he does, and I'm okay with that.
I know they mentioned during the game that he had told them, like the announcers, he had told them pregame that like if this was his last game ever, he's okay with that. Or word they mentioned word like it wasn't like, oh, I'm done, I'm going to retire, but it was more like if things are out of his control and he is not playing again, he's fine with that too.
Yeah, I think that would be the case.
So that's.
I think he's going to have some opportunities potentially. There's not a great quarterback draft coming out here, and there are some quarterback needy teams this year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think if he wants to play, he'll probably find somebody to take him on. I don't know where that'll be, but I don't think it'll be with the Jets.
No, I don't think it'll be with the Jets.
All right.
So,
well, with that said, or with that in the rearview mirror, what's going on? Playoffs, yeah.
Playoff football. Well, the Lions are now the number 1 seed in the NFC with a win over the Vikings, and the Chiefs are the number 1 in the AFC.
Yeah, that Lions-Vikings game was something else. Did you watch that?
I did not. I missed it completely. I think what happened is as soon as the Jets game ended, I was like, I'm done with football today and tomorrow for this week, and just stopped thinking about it. And I completely forgot to watch that. I wanted to watch the Lions Vikings and forgot.
That's been happening to me a lot this season. So I purposely did not watch the Jets game live because I knew I wanted to watch the Lions and Vikings, and I wanted to enjoy it.
I wish you told me. Like,
let me just
done that.
Put that in the back burner. I don't want to risk watching terrible football and get upset. I do want to see what goes on here live. But by like midway through the third quarter, I was like, okay, this is pretty much done. That was surprising. I really thought that was going to be a back and forth game, but Aaron Glenn and that Lions defense really put the screws to Sam Darnold, and he kind of crumbled. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see in the playoffs when the pressure is like really on.
Yeah,
how he does if he can recover.
So we have like 6 games coming up for the wild card.
Yep.
In the AFC, we have the Bills versus the Broncos, the Chargers versus the Texans, and the Steelers versus the Ravens. In the NFC, we have the Eagles, Packers, Bucks versus Commanders, and the Vikings versus the Rams.
Just like who I think will win.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Well, I'd say Bills over Broncos for sure. Chargers over Texans. The Texans are just like, somebody please knock us out of our misery. And then Ravens over Steelers. Again, somebody please knock us out of our misery.
Yeah, I agree with all of those.
Who do you got for the NFC?
That's where it's tougher, I think. I mean, is Jalen Hurts going to be back?
I think so.
I mean, I think the Eagles should win. I think the interesting one is the Vikings versus the Rams. That's the one I guess most interested to watch right now.
I feel pretty confident that the Eagles will beat the Packers. I'm curious how Jordan Love's hand is doing. Did you see what happened during that game?
No. So
he hit his ulnar nerve on the helmet.
Ouch.
I mean, if you know what an ulnar, it's the funny bone essentially. But he bonked his nerve, and then it keeps shaking his hand, right, and moving his ring finger and his pinky finger. So that's your ulnar nerve, and if you put pressure on it or damage it or cause inflammation around it, it's going to cause numbness in your ring finger and pinky finger, and that can last days. But yeah, I because it's his throwing hand, I'd be curious to see. He might not have 100% grip on the football, and that might affect play for him and the Packers. So even without that, I still think the Eagles take care of business with that one. they've been just killing teams.
They've been too good
lately.
I think it's all like, I mean, someone who I had both Jalen Hurts and Saquon on my fantasy team this year, and I think I would have won the championship had Hurts not gotten hurt, knocked me out.
Yeah, he's been out with a concussion. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a concussion. He's been out.
Been a nasty concussion.
3 games or 2 games? 3 games.
He's been out 3
because it was 2 games. 3. Yeah, it was 3 weeks ago that knocked me out, and I know he didn't play the last 2. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't have played this week either way.
Yeah,
but they've looked too
hopefully
good.
I'm sure he'll be back for the playoffs.
Yeah,
or for this week,
because that should be a good game.
I think it'll be a good one. I would like to watch that.
If they're both healthy, that will be a fun quarterback matchup.
Who do you have for Bucks over Bucks versus Commanders?
I mean, I don't even know. I don't know.
That one's probably the biggest coin flip game for me.
Yeah, same. Like I don't think I've watched either of those teams at all this year.
I want the Bucks to win. I think they're a little bit more exciting, and
yeah,
I don't know. Weirdly, I've never been a Baker Mayfield fan, but he's been pretty awesome this year,
right?
And I'd kind of like to see them move on and see what happens there. Be a little bit of a berserker team.
Yeah,
and again, they have more playoff experience, so I think they have a bit of an edge there. The Commanders have been I have a hard time believing in them.
Yeah, same. I'm kind of shocked they even made it in.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vikings, Rams. I want the Vikings to win just for Sam Darnold. That game will be interesting to watch.
I think the Vikings will pull that one out. But again, that's one where Sam Darnold doesn't have any playoff experience at all, and I don't know. He's coming off of that last loss. He might be feeling a lot of pressure.
Huh.
And of course, the Rams are a lot of previous Super Bowl winners, but they've been so up and down. And lately, their offense hasn't been great. So I don't know. We'll see. But I do think the Vikings will win.
And did you see the Patriots fired their head?
I did.
Which I found a little surprising.
Well, before we get into that,
yeah,
do you have any predictions of who we'll see in
the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
I think it's going to be Bills Eagles.
Bills Eagles. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm feeling right now.
I'm feeling Bills Lions.
Oh, the Lions too. Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I said. I said what I said.
I think that's reasonable. I do think it's going to be Eagles Lions in the NFC title game.
Yeah. Who do you see in the AFC title game? Bills Chiefs. Bills.
Yeah, I think Bills Chiefs.
At least now it's just all fun football for me. I don't care really what happens too much.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to watch the mania that is the Jets' early offseason, finding their next head coach, which I guess we'll move on to now. Yep. Well, normally we'd have Trisha do this part, but I guess you want to take it?
I mean, I feel like the Jets have requested to interview everybody.
Yeah, kind of. I think they have 13 candidates. I don't want to talk about all of them for sure. As of this recording, there are now 6 teams total that are looking for new head coaches, which, I mean, it bodes pretty well. Typically, there are 7 or 8. Earlier today, the Raiders were not a part of that equation, but this afternoon they did fire Antonio Pierce. So that's our 6th team. Notably, being left off of this list of head coaching candidates, Ben Johnson from the Lions. The Jets are not requesting an interview with him because he's been out there stating that I'm going to be picky about where I go. I want to make sure that whatever team I go to has a quarterback or has their quarterback situation figured out.
That's not the Jets?
I mean, if he came here, maybe he could figure it out. Right. I mean, I don't know. The Jets have also floated out there, I think, kind of in response to that questions about his ability to handle the New York media market.
What do they base that on? Has he had media blowups before?
No.
Or they're just blowing stuff out of their ass?
No, he's been having the media kiss his ass for the past handful of years or whatever, because he's, a young phenom.
Yeah.
But I think that's just saving face.
Dumb.
More than anything. And maybe trying to do a little reverse psychology. I don't know. But he's gonna probably get the number one pick of whatever team he wants to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not pleased with any of those teams, he'll probably just return to the Lions and keep doing what he's doing. He's in such a great situation. I don't know if I'd want to walk away either.
Wouldn't.
But pay increase is significant. So anyway, let's talk about the people that the Jets have requested an interview. I kind of whittled it down to 8 somewhat interesting people. At the top of the list, let's talk about Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, former player, defensive back for the Jets. So he's familiar with the New York market after Monday night and what he did to the Vikings. I mean, that's kind of his interview right there. He could just show up and be like, look at what I did.
Just point at that. Just bring the game tape.
Right. But he's, a Jets darling. Fans love him. That's actually my biggest deterrent toward hiring him, just because I have fond memories of him as a player. I don't want to see him come here and tarnish that.
Right.
By working as the coach and, Woody Johnson ruining his reputation.
Right. I don't know if I'd wish that on him. Anyone.
Let's see. Next, we've got Brian Flores, the Vikings DC. What do you think about that option? He does have head coaching experience.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that to Trisha earlier when we were talking about candidates. Yeah, what do you think about him, Matt?
I don't know enough. I just know of him. Who used to coach? Head coach?
The Dolphins.
Right.
He got fired by the Dolphins, and he was the coach for the Dolphins before Mike McDaniel, who's the current coach. I think he's got an active lawsuit against the NFL for discrimination. He wasn't a bad record-wise. He wasn't bad. I don't think he was great. I think he might have gotten them to the playoffs once. I don't know how many years he had, maybe 2 or 3. But his reputation was that he was a hard ass, and especially toward like Tua Tagovailoa had made comments about him after he was gone. Like, it's nice having somebody here after Mike McDaniel came on. It's nice having somebody here that supports you, basically.
Ouch.
So he's been introspective about those comments, and it seems like maybe he's softened a little bit, but he's still a great defensive mind. He's done a lot with the Vikings. I don't know how players feel about him, but it's an interesting candidate. Let's go on to our next candidate, Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Vikings QB coach. And he was backup quarterback for Sam Darnold.
That's funny. Right, I remember that.
And it was right about that time, I think he was talking about his next steps would be moving into coaching. And he's been floated as a head coaching option for other teams. I think the Dolphins actually were one of them. Maybe
the Jets try to entice him and Sam Darnold, is what you're saying? To come.
If they wanted Sam Darnold, it wouldn't hurt to get Josh McCown. But I think Kevin O'Connell is the real draw over at the Vikings, because I think they have actually a pretty close relationship.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any bringing Sam Darnold back here.
No, I wouldn't wish that up.
Would you want him back?
No. I don't
You
know.
were not a big Sam Darnold
Yeah,
supporter,
but
if I recall.
who? No, I wasn't. But
I think I remember you saying you didn't like his face.
no, that was
Or was that just Zach Wilson? I
that
know I
was
didn't like
just
Zach Wilson's face.
that was Zach Wilson, I think. I
But
don't
I was
know.
pretty sure you didn't like Sam Darnold. I know Trisha didn't like Sam
I
Darnold.
think I could never get.
She still doesn't.
Wasn't Sam Darnold the one that the post like superimposed him on like when they beat? Didn't he beat the Patriots in their first game or something?
I can't even remember.
I feel like they beat the Patriots in the first game of the season, and like the post superimposed his head on like a Revolutionary War general,
Oh, maybe.
like Hamilton or something. And
That might have been him.
I don't think I've ever gotten past that.
Oh, that he has no control over
I know.
that.
I didn't say it was logical.
That's funny. I was kind of like wait and see. I was a Sam Darnold agnostic, just because he had such a terrible roster around him and coaching staff around him for his entire career up until he went to San Francisco, and he never got a chance to play at San Francisco. I think he had 2 downs over there, but I was just always like, I have no idea with Sam Darnold. Maybe we just really don't know, because he just hasn't really had a fair opportunity. I wouldn't say he's like an all-star.
No. I think he's had a good season, and right now, like anybody who looks even slightly good is good for the Jets. I just sent you the picture because I just found it. It's even worse than I thought.
Yeah, I'd definitely take him over
Anybody?
trading for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Or maybe Kirk Cousins.
Ugh, I don't want him.
I don't know if I'd probably take him over Tyrod Taylor.
Anyway, so we also got Mike Vrabel.
The Jets already had an interview with him, right?
I think so.
And the rumors are that he kind of positioned that meeting or that interview just to angle toward the Patriots job.
I immediately don't like
I guess
him.
almost immediately after the interview, the Patriots did fire Gerard Mayo.
That's kind of funny.
I don't think we're getting Vrabel. I think he would be the number one choice for the Jets, but I don't think he wants to be here. The reports were that, like, on both sides, the interview was good, and typically when there's no elaboration past that, it's just like, this isn't happening.
Right, it's not happening.
At least it wasn't embarrassing.
True. And now, sexy Rexy.
How do you feel about this?
Let's get some goddamn snacks. I mean, I enjoyed his coaching tenure with the Jets, but No, not the entirety of it, but there were some good moments. I don't think, like, I'll say this: I don't want them to hire him as their head coach.
Okay, I think I agree with you. He's been out of the game so long, and his style of defense is from a different era.
Right. I think he's been out for too long, and the game has changed while he's been out. I also think, when he was the head coach, we had a similar problem with constant stupid penalties.
Yeah, you're right about that. I don't want to, like, just say because he's been out of the game and he's a little older, that he can't adapt with the game. His defense now would be just like flags flying every single play, right? You think about how good his defenses were, especially with like Darrelle Revis and his style of play. What they would do is, in the first 5 yards, which you can still do to a degree anyway, they would go up and just like jam hard the receivers and really mess with their routes. And it was much more physical style of play.
Yeah.
In a way that you kind of can and kind of can't do now. So I'd be interested to see how Rex Ryan would mold this defense, because when you compare Rex Ryan's scheme to Salah's, Salah's scheme was just super simple, super stripped down. Like everybody had kind of like a singular role. There's not a whole lot of disguising. We're just going to beat you with our talent and our speed. But the downside of that this season, especially with like the all gas, no brakes mentality, was that they're over pursuing in trying to get sacks on the quarterback. So that's part of why the running game was so prolific, is that they're running past the ball half the time because they're moving so fast, and they're not good at tackling. So if Rex Ryan were to maybe get his hands on this defense and make it a little bit more complex with some disguised blitzes, I'd be interested to see how that looked.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could put together a solid defense. I'm not positive. One thing I know for sure is that it would be entertaining.
Right. Oh, for sure.
But it might be a total disaster. With that said, it reminds me, Trisha and I were having a conversation about her thoughts on the whole head coaching candidate situation. Her personal opinion is that she should be hired as the GM. So GM Trisha.
Mm-hmm.
And she will hire, without interview, Tony Dungy.
Oh, God.
She referred to him as the potato head coach man.
Well, yeah, I can see it.
I refer to him as the flower child of a zombie and a dark elf.
Both accurate physical descriptions of him.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's, again, been out of the game for a while, but she does want a head coach or a head coach with head coaching experience. So that's all she said. But she wants Tony Dungy.
Maybe they'll interview him.
I doubt it. He wouldn't want to come here. He's like, I've got my Super Bowl ring. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Rex Ryan in the books. Joe Brady of the Bills. What do you think about that?
Sure. Why not?
Do you think he'll even accept?
No.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he'll even interview for that. I wouldn't
Why
mind
would you
having
want
him.
to go from the Bills to the Jets right now?
Yeah.
Aside
with nothing to work with.
With nothing. Like there's especially, yeah.
I mean, you have pieces, but you don't have a quarterback. And Josh Allen is
also right.
Let's
why
be
would
honest,
you want to go
90% of your offense?
Josh Allen to whoever, to giant question mark?
Yeah.
And not only giant question mark, but giant question mark with a team known for just wrecking quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Do you feel like play calling and offensive scheme is like really what's doing it over at the Bills?
No.
Is it? I mean,
no.
They did have like a bump when Joe Brady took over.
Yeah.
From, I can't even remember who the last OC was after Dayball, but there was a little bit of a slump. But that was also like moving from Stephon Diggs focus more to like just let Josh Allen cook. So I don't know. Yeah, I think he stays put or goes on to a much better situation. Ron Rivera?
That guy, I don't know. I don't like him. I don't know why.
I don't like that guy.
I don't like that guy. That said, that's probably who they'll end up with now. But
yeah, I mean, he did take the Panthers to a Super Bowl in 2015. I think they had a bunch of playoff appearances, but since then it's been like dark times for him as a coach. I don't think his teams were very good.
Yeah.
But I think he's like in the golden years or whatever you call it. I don't know. I would not be excited to hear that news.
Right. That's what, you know what? I'll put me down now. That's my prediction now.
That's who they end up with.
Yeah.
And lastly, let's get this thing done. Bobby Slowick of the Texans OC. He was a hot name in the beginning of the year.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to evaluate him now. because the Texans kind of like suck in a bad division.
Yeah,
They're like the best of a bad division.
When you said it seemed like even they are like, put us out of our misery in this playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, but they're also like every single one of their receivers got injured. They're just decimated. And CJ Stroud is, I don't know if he's like, I think their offensive line also got destroyed too. CJ Stroud is really struggling. It's hard to tell whether it's like a sophomore slump or just because everybody's injured around him.
True.
I was kind of surprised to see that there was still a market for him. I think a bunch of teams requested interviews with him, considering what we've seen going down the stretch. But, I mean, they were good, and now they're not. So, I don't know. Is there anybody on this list that you're excited about, that you think we can get?
I don't know. Which would you rather see as a head coach for the Jets? Somebody more like known for their defense or known for their offense?
I don't think there's a real good option for us with an offensive mind. I'd like to know who the person is coming in that's leading the offense, right?
Yeah. Right.
I'd love to have like a genius mind on offense that is doing things and innovating and knows where the game is and is going. And I think that's probably the most important thing with the head coach coming in, is that they can adapt to, or they have already adapted to where the game is and can continue adapting. Because it's so like offensively leaning now. It's just a totally different game from where it was 10 years ago. And with that said, when you have defensive coordinators like Aaron Glenn and Brian Flores, who are really succeeding defensively, they have to have a deep understanding of the rules of the game and how offenses can exploit them, and the fact that they can actually negate that from a defensive perspective is impressive. But, you know, who are you bringing in offensively? Because you can get super creative in today's NFL. And we just haven't seen that successfully from the Jets
at all
forever.
I guess my thoughts were like, so many of our head coaches have been defensive for so long now, and now the defense isn't working well for the first time in ages either.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we do have a top 5 defense again this year. They're not an impactful defense when it matters, is the problem.
Yeah.
But when you look at other defenses for championship caliber teams, they're not that impressive. They're impressive in big moments, but they're still like, the Lions were giving up 30 points a game.
Right.
You know, but the offense is also keeping up, and that's the difference. But you just can't rely on having a solid defense alone.
No.
You have to have a good offense, or great offense, and a great scheme. You can't just be stale.
So, who do you expect? Who do you think will be the head coach, and who would you want?
I think, oh man. So I'm trying to get inside the head of Woody Johnson.
Oh, well, that's a dangerous move.
Right. Well, this is just who I think will happen, right? Part of me thinks he's going to force an offensive hire, and we end up with like a Bobby Slowick or a Josh McCown. Bobby Slowick wouldn't necessarily be as head-scratching as Josh McCown. Josh McCown has no play calling experience. So he may be awesome, but okay, who are you bringing in to call plays? Are you going to do it? You don't know how to. Maybe. We don't know that you don't know how to, but like, you'd be bringing him in thinking that he'd be like kind of the CEO guy maybe, and can hire the right people around him. And I think he's got good relationships, but he's not a defensive guy. and he's not an offensive guru necessarily. So, okay, where do we go from there? I feel like I still have no idea where the direction of this team is. And then Bobby Slowick is still a question mark just because of how this season has gone for the Texans. So I feel like the bigger question mark is Josh McCown, so I'm going to go with that.
That's who you think will be?
As who I think will be. Because we're all just going to be like, okay, what the fuck happens now?
Yeah. Who would you, like, if you were in charge, who would you pick from this list? Or would you go outside this list and pick someone else?
If they'll have me, I would go with Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores. I'm ruling out Vrabel.
Right. Because he's not even going to come here.
Yeah. How about you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's just bring Sexy Rexy back.
Well, yeah. Because it'll at least be fun.
Throw caution to the wind.
Let's just go nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Sexy Rexy's back. The papers would love it. I mean, but that said, I think it'll be Ron Rivera. That's my prediction.
All right. I can see that happening.
Which may be fine. I don't know. Like the whole thing, like you said, who knows what's happening? Like I have no idea what we're gonna see.
All right. So I had McCown. You have Rivera.
And Trisha has the
Tony
love child of a dark elf and a zombie and a potato head.
I mean, we love Tony Dungy. He seems like a really nice guy. Just this shallow appearance.
Right.
I'm not the sexiest man alive. That's for sure. No disrespect to Tony Dungy. All right. Any other closing thoughts?
It's a weird feeling that the season's over, but at least I can enjoy football games now.
We're not done. Right. We're still gonna be recording. I don't know what the off-season schedule is going to look like for us recording. Things will get slow. But I imagine over the next month or so, we'll still be doing weekly because there's bound to be a bunch of news. We'll see how things go, but we're still going to be recording in the off-season. Still doing this thing. All right. That's going to cover it. Thank you. Happy birthday, Mr. Callahan.
Thank you for him on his behalf.
That is episode number 17. We've got nothing else to worry about. They can't hurt us anymore.
I do. Do you have your phone on you?
I do.
Look at my text just so I can get your recorded reaction to the picture I talked about.
S. Milton?
No, it's supposed to be Samilton.
Samilton. Oh, that's terrible. That's so funny. I think
that is what ruined Sam Darnold for me because I remember vividly seeing that the next day.
He has zero control over that.
Right, not his fault at all.
But he does look like he belongs in like the Redcoat Army.
It was a good Photoshop job.
Yeah,
I did like the touch of like making his coat green for the Jets, but
yeah,
woof.
Oh boy. We'll have to put this up on the Facebook page and Twitter so people can reference it. But that's hysterical. I can see that turning you off.
Right, through no fault of his own. Like it's never, I never had any, it's not the Zach Wilson rage, which I think you started in me.
Oh no, from the very first second.
You said his face was very punchable.
Punchable face. He's not going to succeed.
And I think it was already over for him.
It was already over
as far as we were concerned. I don't think he had even thrown a pass yet or attempted. But
it was against him from the start.
Yeah.
All right. I need to reflect on that. But he was terrible.
Right. No regrets on that one.
All right. That is going to wrap it up for yet another episode of Three Cranky Jets Fans. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, do all the stuff. We would really appreciate it.
The things.
All the things. It really helps the show and helps us connect with other Jets fans. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Three Cranky Jets Fans. We will be back next week to talk about whatever is going on with the Jets coaching search and GM search and all the drama that is bound to come this offseason. Until then, rest easy. It's over. You can sleep at night. Ish.
The pain
Jets.
is mitigated.
Yes. The narcotics should be kicking in now.
Yes.
Go
Now
Jets.
Feel better, Trisha.
Oh, and feel better, Trisha. Yes. To my lovely wife. All right. Go Jets.
Go Jets.